Hey guys, Miss Gregory here. We're actually going to start part 2 of the integers video on absolute value and opposites. Okay, make sure you have your supplies, including your workbook to take the notes and your workbook for when at the end of this video you will be asked to do the guided practice questions. Okay, pause to make sure you have your supplies. Okay, this is a blank screen because I want you to be in your workbook on page 355. I want you to start by doing the activity where it asks you to fill in the drawing on the number line and answer the questions along with the real world link. I want you to try those on your own. Okay, do, and then come back and check your answers. When you're finished, come back and check. Okay, page 355, here are the answers filled in for you. Concentrating on the vocabulary word absolute value, which we'll talk about in a minute, but you can see I filled in my information with my very limited drawing artistic capability. So the tree is green to help you realize that's a tree. And you can see that it's on the left side of the number line. Then the mailbox I drew with purple, and it's on the right side of the number line. Okay, you can see that I answered questions 2, 3, 4, and 5. And hopefully you have something similar in there and realized that really these two objects are drawn equal spaces apart but on opposite sides of the number line. Okay. What you really need to understand about absolute value we're going to continue with on the next page. So before you move on, make sure you have the correct answers on page 355, and when you're ready, move to the next page. Okay, so finding opposites, we're on page 356. We've actually practiced finding opposites in class, and we've said you could talk about opposites being on the opposite side of the number line. Think of 0 as your gatekeeper, and it separates the positives from the negatives. The negatives are to the left side of 0, the positive integers are to the right side of 0. So if you have an example finding the opposite of -5, like in example 1, -5 is to the left of 0, so your opposite is going to be to the right of 0. Okay, you can also think about opposites as they have opposite signs, meaning one is a negative sign and the opposite would be positive sign. Okay, so you can try the opposite examples, and then when you're ready, we'll move on. Okay, now we're going to get into absolute value, which is very important, and this will carry with you and be important. Okay, I apologize. It seems the pause and record button are not working correctly. So part of me was recording, or so I thought, but it was paused. So sorry if you're hearing this again, but I want to make sure you get the information. Absolute value is important. You need to make sure you understand that absolute value is the distance from 0. It's not going to be listed as negative. You just need to be able to count how far the number is from 0, whether it's on the left side of 0 or the right side of 0. You need to pay attention to the absolute value bars like I've mentioned in the blue box. The absolute value bars, they're not parentheses, they're not brackets, they're not the number 1, whatever you may be confusing them with. They're absolute value bars. So under the symbols section, this says find the absolute value of 4. Well, it's 4 places from 0. Then it says find the absolute value of -4, and again it's 4 places from 0. We're not going to have a negative distance answer. Look at example 3. Evaluate the absolute value of -7. Evaluate just means give me the answer. And in this case, the answer is 7 because it's 7 places from 0 on the number line. For number 4, it says evaluate the absolute value of 5 plus the absolute value of -6. So I'm going to require that on these types of questions you rewrite what the absolute value is before you try to solve the operations. So for example 4, you would say that the absolute value of 5 is 5 because it's 5 places from 0 on the line. They're asking you to add, and the absolute value of -6 is 6 because it is 6 places from 0. So now you're left with solving the problem 5 plus 6, which the obvious answer is 11. Okay? Once you have everything copied on this page, please move on and notice the important star beside the absolute value message off to the right. Okay, this is where we will stop the video so that you can do the guided practice on your own, and we will check the answers in class. I want you to do numbers 1 through 6. I want you to try them yourself. You can look back at the notes and the examples in the workbook, and then I want you to rate yourself how well you understand. Again, this is the workbook, page 358. This is lesson 2. This is part 2 of the video on integers, and I will do part 3 next. But in between videos, make sure you're stopping in these small chunks and practicing the guided practice before you move to the next video. Okay? Thanks, and Mary Force be with you.